Hello and welcome to my channel. So today let's look at the Leetcode 2012 Sum of Beauty in the Array. So the question it's let's look at what the question is asking about. So if we have a zero index integer array and then for each I which is larger than or equal to 1 and smaller than or equal to n minus 2. So there are three possibilities. If everything on the left of I is smaller than norms I, and everything if everything to the right of I is larger than norms I, then we actually need to add a 2 to the beauty of the array. So the second possibility is if this condition, the first possibility is not satisfied. So this one will add 2. And the second possibility, so if the first possibility is not satisfied, then if we have norms I higher than norms I minus 1, and norms I smaller than norms I plus 1. So which means so in this possibility, we actually plus 1. So the plus 1 to the result. So the third possibility is if none of the previous two conditions holds, then we actually do nothing. So then the question is asking to return the sum of beauty of all norms I, where I is larger than or equal to 1 and smaller than or equal to n minus 2. So let's also look at the three examples. So the first one is 1, 2, 3, and because for index 2 we have everything before that smaller, and everything on the right side larger. So we actually have a beauty of 2. So the sum of norm side, sum of beauty of norm side is 2. So the second example is for the norms 1, we have everything on the left side is smaller, but everything on the right side is not larger because there is another 4 here. But we actually satisfy the second condition. So so the beauty of norms I is norms 1 is 1. So beauties of norms 2 is 0 because 6 is not strictly smaller than 4. So it doesn't satisfy either first or second condition. So the third example, because this is a descending order, so that actually doesn't satisfy any of the two conditions for any element. So it's the beauty of this array is 0. So let's look at how do we think about this problem. So because the question is asking the relative difference between an element and the element before that and the element after that. So we actually can use the pre in there is one type of array called pre-sum array, which is we have used to like solve the to get the pre-sum for so pre-sum for each index I. Pre-sum I is the sum of elements from 0 to I. But in this question, we actually are not interested in the pre-sum, but we are interested in the pre-max, because we actually want to know if any element before I is the largest element before I, and so if we have the largest element before I, we just compare norms I with the pre-max I, then then we actually know if it satisfies the first half of the condition of the first one. So the pre-max is for each I pre-max I is the max of elements. Actually, it should be I minus 1 here. Oh, it depends on the like what's the context. But yeah, for this question, we're actually interested in we are interested in the max of elements 0 to I minus 1. So similarly, we actually want to have another array called post-max. So the post-max is actually for this one we can call it post-mean. So post-mean is the mean of elements I plus 1 to the last one, to the n minus 1. So if we have the pre-max and post-mean, then for each I, we can compare if the norms I is larger than pre-max I. Actually, we can larger than pre-max I minus 1, and then if norms I is smaller than post-mean I plus 1, then we need to add this to answer to add 2 to the answer. But if that condition is not satisfied, then we can actually just compare the one before and the one after. Then if this condition satisfied, then we can add 1 to the answer. But if none of them can satisfy, then we actually add 0, so we do nothing. Then in the end, we return the answers. So the question, so firstly, we need to, so we can, this is basically the algorithm, and the time complexity is the time complexity actually is O(n). So if the, uh, the norm's length is smaller than or equal to 10 to the power 5, so this ON solution should be fine. Um, so okay, so we can start the implement now. So firstly, we get the length of norms, and we need to define premax. Um, for actually simplicity, we can actually define one more for the premax, and for the post mean, we also define one more. So then we start the pre-processing. So for the premax, we need to go from the left to the right. So firstly, um, premax 0, we can put it as the smallest possible value, one less than smallest possible value of norm size. So we can put it as 0. Then we can start to iterate through the norms. Because now we actually have I as a one indexed, so we need to like decrement I by 1 to get the index, get the real norms index. So actually we can update this with the current norms. Similarly, we have a post mean. We actually go from back to the beginning. So we want to set it as a very large value, which for the n. So the post mean n will be 10 to the power 5 plus 1. And then we can go from the I'm minus math. So then post mean I equal to math dot mean post mean I plus 1. Then norms norms I. So we so post mean will be the minimum value from I and up, post mean I. So now we can start we need to have an answer variable, and then we can start iterate the array norms. So for each norms I, we can firstly compare it to the premax and post mean. So if it's if norms I is larger than premax I minus 1, and if norms I is smaller than post mean, I plus 1 actually. then we need to add 2 to the answers. But if that condition doesn't satisfy, then we can compare directly the norms I minus 1 and norms I plus 1. Then we increment the answer. So and in the end we can return the answers. So let's look at if this code is correct. So we can try a few examples. Oh, actually, there is one thing because the norm psi we cannot iterate it from the beginning to the end. We need to iterate only in this range. So we actually change this to starting as one and also the highest is possibility is n minus 2. So otherwise also it will be out of boundary to the I minus 1 or I plus 1. So now let's try if it's okay. So it seems correct. And oh, okay. Let's check why it's there's a problem. So 226. Um, so the expected value is 0, but I got 2 in this one. So which means one seems on the right side seems it's smaller, but on the left side it's actually the it might be the premax is something is wrong with the premax. Oh, yeah. Actually, we here we should define this premax 0 and premax we can like premax 0 should be norms 0, and because uh, then norm psi will be so so the premax is okay. Okay, so let's summarize the question. So this question, the main thing we need to do is the pre-processing the array. So to get the premax and the post mean. then we can actually iterate the array and getting the sum of beauty. So it's we're actually doing a three pass. So the first pass is getting premax, the second pass is getting post min, and the third pass is to getting the sum of beauty. So that actually concludes our exercise today. And so if you like the video, please subscribe or click like button. Thank you for watching. See you next time.